everybody, and welcome all thanks to LD Mobile. This is NBL Overtime, and hashtag see incredible. What a huge 5 days it has been. Bryce Cotton hits 10 threes, has 42 points. Melbourne blow a 16-point lead with 6 minutes to go. Cairns were brilliant at home. And then last night, well, I don't know what to say. It was 50-odd points at some point. The Melbourne were in front of the team that's been on top since the very start of round one. But the most important, incredible thing over the course of the weekend, hashtag see incredible, is that this man, Corey Homicide Williams, did a piece to camera for social media in a bathrobe. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. I'm chilling. How are you?
A bathrobe.
I mean, early in the morning, you just got to sit down and just, the night of the game, sometimes emotions run high.
Yeah.
So I think now I rather do stuff in the morning.
Oh, no, I got no issue with that.
I know. So that's why I just wake up in the morning and just drop whatever's on my mind. So I think for the rest of the series, I'll just do things in my bathroom.
All right, cool. There you go. Homicide out, bathrobe in. Hello to you, Liam Santa Maria.
Hello. What's your bathrobe schedule? What time of day do you get out of the bathrobe?
It just depends what my day is, what the schedule is for the day.
Okay.
So I might sleep in late. So whenever I get up, I'll just do it.
Well, let's not spend too much time talking about bathrobes because this has been an incredible first 4 days of the final.
Well, where do we want to start? And actually, I'll tell you where we start. Let's start on the fact, because it's kind of been forgotten, but Bryce Cotton hit 10 threes in a playoff game.
God.
And single-handedly, and Nick Kay, you tweeted on Saturday morning, Nick Kay was brilliant, and he was. But Bryce Cotton, 42 points. We're going to get to Sydney-Melbourne in a split second, but just quickly on Bryce Cotton, because it feels so far removed.
Yes.
The MVP stood up against the Defensive Player of the Year. It was unbelievable.
I mean, Bryce Cotton's an absolute stud. He is the best player in the league, fully deserving of the MVP. What he's doing for the Perth Wildcats, my opinion, they will win the championship. I think they will get out Game 3, the RAC Arena with the Red Army, the biggest six-man in the country. They will find a way to win that game. It's a game decider at home, so my money's on Perth Wildcats. But with Bryce Cotton, what he's been able to do and the level of shot-making he has in his arsenal, the way he's able to score, it was just ridiculous. It was a thing of beauty to watch.
I just wanted to mention that off the top because it feels so long ago and the man hit 42 points and 10 threes. But we are going to start with what happened Saturday night in Sydney. And Liam Santa Maria and I were courtside and we walked out of that joint and said, this is amazing. We'll never see anything like this. We'll get to what happened last night shortly. But let's start with Saturday night. Liam, talk us through what was, for 34 minutes, a great effort by Melbourne, and for 6 minutes, Sydney proved what they can do in a short period of time.
Yeah, my head was spinning after this game, just trying to compute what had happened because, as you say, Melbourne came in and played really, really well. Finals is all about making adjustments, and the Kings had owned Melbourne throughout the regular season for the most part. And Melbourne came in with a great game plan and executed it really, really well, and were in control of the game for most of the night. Mallow Trimble came in and lit the place up. 24 points in the opening half. They haven't been able to guard him all year. Some guys that weren't supposed to hit shots like Shea Illy were knocking them down, and as a result, Melbourne United built a lead that should have been game-winning, but in the end, they didn't execute down the stretch. What do you need to happen to come back from 16 down with 6 minutes to go? Well, you need to hit a whole bunch of shots. You need to get a whole bunch of stops, but you also need a whole bunch of possessions to happen in the game. And by shooting quick shots, Melbourne enabled that. They increased the possessions that were remaining in the game. And here is what happened. The Kings took those deep boards and made them pay down the other end. And that man, Didi Louzada, was especially huge, and he lit Kudos Bank Arena up with that triple, but also the one that he hit in the corner a few possessions later.
A lot of times I talk about opportunity and the window of opportunity and how at times it closes faster than it opens. And they did not maximize that window of opportunity in game one. They meaning Melbourne United. That's why they lost. Now, on the other end, Sydney understood. We haven't played Sydney basketball for 3.5 quarters. However, we have an opportunity, and they capitalize on it. They say this is the biggest comeback in the history of the NBL. It's a fact, 16 points down in the fourth. That is, I called it, game one, the biggest choke because of how Melbourne United crumbled in the end of that game. It was a game, it was sensational, the game plan. And for the rush shots and the quick shots enabled more possessions, for Sydney Kings, and they capitalized. That's just what it came down to.
Yeah.
There was no accountability. There was lack of leadership in that 6-minute stretch, and it caused them the game.
The thing is, I think the takeaway, though, is that it's both an incredible comeback and a big choke.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? It's not just one exclusively and not the other.
Right.
Because, yes, they didn't handle it well. Yes, they opened that window of opportunity for the Kings, but the Kings took it.
They took it.
And they stepped in and took the win.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
And you spoke about those 2 threes that Didi Lazada hit, including the go-ahead
He was
three.
big down the stretch.
Defensively, and I'm not certain if you're watching at home if you actually feel this. And the whole atmosphere in the arena changed in a 1-minute period. But the fact is, defensively, Didi Lazada was, and they did stand the pressure up, and that's why I agree with you. It is a choke as well as a comeback, because to be able to have things change, you need the Sydney Kings to actually raise the intensity that had been missing. That was led by Didi Lazada on the floor defensively as well.
He was an absolute game winner, and we've spent a whole bunch of time at this desk over the course of this year talking about a couple of next stars in RJ Hampton and LaMelo Ball ahead of their NBA careers. Well, this is the moment to really sit down and talk about this kid, because in a final, he was the game breaker. At the defensive end, bodying up Chris Golding off the ball, getting into the ball, getting deflections, and then the poise he showed offensively when he, obviously the 3 on the right-hand corner, then he attacked Sean Long off the dribble, bodied him up right in the right moment and finished over the top. And then the poise to catch it in that left corner. The long closeout from Shayili, shot fake, get settled, knock that thing down because it was a game-sealing shot, was enormous. So that was his moment. David Griffin from the New Orleans Pelicans was sitting right courtside on that baseline. It was a beautiful basketball moment.
And we cannot forget Brad Newley's performance. Brad Newley was huge in that run. You know, a lot of times he was getting to the free throw line. He hit a lot of free throws. I think he finished with 17 points in that game. Hell of an effort at both ends of the court as well.
So we left Saturday night thinking we're probably not going to see, as much as hashtag See Incredible has been a huge part of NBL 20, thinking we're not going to see something as incredible as that, regardless what happens for the rest of the final series. And then Melbourne scored 38 straight points in a row against the best team in the league. And for everyone watching last night, it was one of the most remarkable 8 minutes and 5 second stretch. This is how long it took for Sydney to score 1 bucket to a next.
Yeah.
Liam, Corey, whoever the hell wants to
Liam,
try and
you can go
explain it,
first.
you can go, because I don't know what to say about what happened.
Everyone who watched that game was left shell-shocked by what happened. Not just that Melbourne United won. Okay, they're a talented team. They've got their mojo flowing. They had a great game plan from game 1 and they brought it into game 2. But just the way that thing unfolded was absurd. As you say, 38-0 is just ridiculous. 50-7. At one point, they led by 58 points. What the hell is going on? That just should not happen. The thing that shocked me in this game, more than the margin or the runs, is that, as I said, finals are all about making adjustments. And it was, despite getting the win in game 1, it was the Kings who needed to make the adjustments coming into this game, and they didn't do it.
Do you think that is a little bit of the fact that there might be a small, false dawn in the fact when you win a game, although you get out of it, but it took 6 minutes, but it was a little bit of an unlikely win. Is that why you think that the adjustments...
Maybe that's what happened,
Yep.
but I think it was pretty clear that they were thoroughly outplayed, and it was just that little 6 minute storm that got them the win. They needed to come in and do some things differently at both ends of the floor, and they didn't do it.
You were courtside last night, sitting pretty much on the Sydney Kings bench. What was the feeling like as this thing was unfolding halfway through the second and into the third?
It looked bad. They still look confident. They just could not get it done. They were overwhelmed. I'm gonna wait. Actually, I'm not gonna wait.
Don't wait.
I'm gonna go into this right now.
Hit me.
So, here's the numbers. The most 2 valuable positions on a basketball roster in the NBL, what positions are they? The center and the point guard, okay? They have an elite point guard in Casper Ware. Ever since he's touched the shores of this country, first-team All-NBL champion, best two-way player in the league, arguably, every year. You know what I mean? He locks up and he gets buckets. What we've seen from him his whole career, get on my back, I'm going to carry this team to victory. He's done that. This series against this team, Melbourne United, this season, he's averaged 29 a game, shooting a clip at 50% from the 3. Game 1 in the finals, 7 points, 0 of 9 from the 3. Game 2 in the finals, 10 points, 2 of 7. He's averaging 8.5 points per game and 3 assists, and he's shooting 2 of 16 from the 3. Shea Ellie got his ass on lock. That's the reality of it. This is not a Bryce Cotton coverage. You throw 2 people at him. You throw 3 people at him. It's one player. Shea Ellie, it got him on lock. I never thought I would see this, okay? I never thought I would see this because I never saw it before. If he has one bad game, what happens? He bounces back and bounces back big and wins. For them at some point to be down 50, almost 60, that's inexcusable. That is inexcusable. That's the point guard position. His opposition, Melo Trimble, first game 34, second game 21. He is outplaying him on that side of the court, right? So both ends, he's not giving anything. Now let's go to the center position. Andrew Bogut, 3 points, 10 rebounds, game 1. Game 2, donut, 2 rebounds. You know what he's averaging? He's not even averaging a basket. 1.5 points and 6 rebounds. They rested him all year for what? For him to come out strong right now. His opposition, Sean Long, 23 and 11. Yesterday, 26 and 11 in 23 minutes. He's averaging 24.5 and 11. Am I making this up?
No, you're not.
Are these the numbers?
Before I get to the monitor, Liam,
38
15
points
seconds,
in a row.
I want to ask you a quick question. Last
Talk
week
to
you
me.
brought the broom out. You nicknamed yourself the janitor based on the fact they couldn't stop Casper Ware.
Right.
Do you think that Casper Ware can do what you thought he was going to do in one game on Thursday night?
I do not think that. I have no reason to believe that.
Hold that thought. Let's get to the monitor. Some adjustments need to be made from both sides as well as we go to what is going to be a huge game 3. Liam, what do you got?
Let's have a look at how the Kings have been so dominant, how Melbourne United, have been so dominant thus far in this series. And I disagree with you, Corey. It's not just Shea Ellie. Shea Ellie is playing amazing at the defensive end. He's shadowing Casper Ware every step of the way. Here you see they're in offensive transition. But the game plan from Melbourne United was not just for Shea Ellie to go nuts on Casper Ware. It was actually for them to do something that they haven't done all year. They've actually taken a page out of the Kings book and they've identified a few opponents who they're going to let shoot the ball. And Dean Vickerman spoke about it in the presser the other night and said, it's something we haven't done all year, highlight a couple of guys. Now, they've highlighted Jayshawn Tate, Xavier Cooks, Craig Moller, who's not in the game. So we're not going to guard those guys. If you're defending them, get off them, get 2 feet in the paint and clog the lanes because the Kings want to get on the rim and they want to get free throws. And as a result, there's no spacing for the Sydney Kings. So if you roll the tape here, you see they've got all 3, Bogut, Tate, and Cooks on the floor. There's McCarron getting in the lane. Here's Stanton Kidd getting in the lane. So they're leaving Jayshawn Tate wide open. Now he's hit a few threes, but this is where life is so difficult for Casper and the Sydney Kings right now. Roll the vision on the next clip and you see, what do we got here? Oh, yeah. Keep an eye on Dave Barlow. He's guarding Craig Moller. Look at his spacing. Centre fielder, nothing for you, Casper. Then Bogut tries, there's no back cuts for Casper Ware. Bogut looks to make a move. Barlow's in the way. Late shot clock, and Moller has to launch it. This is the big problem for the Kings to solve right now. Here you see, now this is where I think the adjustment is. I don't think you can play all 3 of those guys, Tate, Cooks, and Bogut at the same time anymore. Cooks at the 3's not working.
And keeping in mind they're all starting.
Yeah, you got to change your starting lineup. And Will Weaver said after the presser last night, we're not going to change our starting lineup. We're not likely to. I think they need to. This is where I think Cooks is at his best when he's at the 4 and Kickett's at the 5. They can't leave Kickett. This lineup here has 4 shooters on the floor plus Cooks. And what this enables Cooks to do is get to the dunker spot. He's not spacing out to the 3-point line, and as a result, his defender's clogging up the lane. So this is what ends up happening. The lane opens up, roll the tape. Lazarda's able to get into the lane, and he sets up Cooks. That's where Cooks is at his best, not standing on the 3-point line having to hoist threes. This is another thing they need to do more of. I haven't seen much of it, but you see this is early in the game last night, terror screens. Daniel Kickett, Andrew Bogut, Jayshawn Tate, Xavier Cooks, Craig Moller, all these guys should be looking to set terrace screens for Casper Ware, up the floor, roll the tape. because then he can get some separation and the lane's a little bit more open and he can make plays. They need much more of that kind of action. And at the defensive end, pause it there, this is the first play of the game. You know what happens. Sean Long ends up on the rim. I wouldn't mind seeing the Kings do a little bit of the same to Melbourne United and say, Shayili, we're not guarding you at all. This is what Cairns are doing to Mitch Norton and Damian Martin. And Jay Shonte can guard both those guys on the wing there and run one of these guys up into the middle of the lane here, make life a little bit easier for Bogut. Now, they don't do that. Roll the vision. Lish sort of stays a little bit more attached to Shayili, and as a result, Bogut gets caught in no man's land. So I say change the starting lineup. Bring Cooks off the bench. I'd like to see Didi Luzada, a shooter, come into the starting lineup. Tie Cooks' minutes to Daniel Kickett. If you don't make any adjustments, you're out.
Do you believe that great analysis, great breakdown? Do you believe the adjustments are going to be made?
I think they have to. Yeah. I mean, you know, playoffs is all about adjustments.
I got you.
The funny thing is, though, Will Weaver has said all season, we know who we are, this is who we are. He's used the analogy, we chop wood, and we're just going to keep chopping wood. Well, if he says to his players in these next couple of days, we're just going to keep chopping wood, they're going to look at him with a lack of confidence saying, that's not working. We're down by 58.
And it leads us to Kudos Bank Arena on Thursday night. 1-1 in that series, and let's go to Perth and Cairns on Friday night. 42 points from Bryce Cotton, 10 threes, an overtime thriller, a 1-point win, and this was a classic game. Cam Oliver, I know you're all up on him. He has been incredible in the first two games, but this man, Bryce Cotton, started the game hot and continued at homicide in what was an absolute classic on Friday night in RSC Arena.
This game was fantastic. This set the tone for the finals. Bryce Cotton, 42. Nick K, 23. Norton, 12. Wagstaff, 10. Big moments, they stepped up, right? Bryce Cotton, 10 threes, we know this. Nick K, 5 threes. That huge three he hit, the fifth one, was incredible. This game went to overtime. They lose by 1 point. But on the flip side, Scott Machado, 31, 8, and 9 assists. Cam Oliver, 19 and 18. Jawad chipped in with 10. DJ Newbill, 25. It was fantastic.
It was a crazy game. Unbelievable. And you talk about that Cotton performance. It was an all-time great
incredible.
Individual performance, an all-time great game. And we talk about adjustments. You got to tip your hat to Trevor Gleeson. He knew coming into the series, I'm going to have to go to this small ball lineup at some point because we're going to have a hard time with Cam Oliver and Majuk Deng at the 5 and the 4. It was almost forced upon him because they were going in the wrong direction. It worked a treat. And as you see, all these highlights down the stretch, there's no Miles Plumlee, there's no Majuk. It's all their small ball, and it's a lot of playing off Bryce Cotton. He draws numbers, either makes a play like that, or this is the beautiful thing about him, has the ability to read the situation and flip it. I mean, they're great situations for him when he ends up one-on-one at the top on anyone, even the defensive player of the year, because he'll make plays to the rim, he'll make plays stepping back or pulling up, knocking down shots. But he also has a willingness to flip it and find the open guy, which was what led to that Nick K3. Like you said earlier, so much has happened since then that's been incredible. That was one of the all-time great individual performances.
And I don't know about for you, but for me, MVP, and I think we discussed it to nth degree going into it, and I think everyone knows the battle between him and Machado, the best two players in the league. There's something romantic about a guy winning the MVP and then coming out, opening the final series and going, you know what, this is one of the best players in the league. You know, Machado's going to get up there and try and prove why he should have won it. DJ Newbill's a defensive player of the year, so he's going to show the world why he is the best player going against me in the NBL.
Yeah.
Cam Oliver's got a little bee in his bonnet because Nick Kay was the man who got the All-NBL first team. And you know what happens? Bryce Cotton has 42 and 10 threes, and is the difference. And Nick Kay was outstanding. I know you said it earlier, but you tweeted it on Saturday. This is what happens when there's so much incredible stuff happening on a daily basis, but it can happen in game. Nick Kay was huge, but Bryce Cotton, that's what he has the ability to do, to make great games from other people be diminished or a little bit off radar, and that's the proof of how good the guy was.
They didn't get much from Miles Plumlee.
No, they didn't
get much from Tariko White, Clint Steinel in that game, but Cotton was good enough with a bit of help from guys like Kay to get him over the line.
I'm going to ask you about Tariq White, because the fact is that we know how good he is. He's been struggling with some injury. He obviously got rested and missed some games late in the regular season. He was a difference last year. He was the MVP in the grand final series, and when Bryce Cotton and Casper Ware were going at each other, Tariq White went nuts and they hoisted the trophy. But he hasn't, at different times in game one, didn't look overly interested. He looked a lot more engaged in game two. He wasn't the X factor coming in. He had Clint Steindl, and understandably so, as you told us last week. But Tariq White needs to play well on Thursday night if this team's to win.
Definitely. First game, they shot 15 of 27 from the three, 56%. Game two on the road in Cairns, they shot 10 of 34, 29%. I don't believe that team at home is going to shoot that bad. They had a lot of open looks, and the guys that they were playing off, those guys hit those at home. And the positive that Perth would take away from that game, Clint Steindl had 18 points.
Hold that thought. Let's have a quick look at game two, though, because Cairns had a slow start, and that was always going to be the concern, how they could handle an opportunity they might have missed on Friday night. Slowest start, they went really on that little tear halfway through the first period and not put the game to bed, but had total control on it, and they were outstanding. Cairns were great. The best thing that could happen is that Cairns played this well, because I was a little nervous for the passionate Cairns fans to be as disappointed had the Wildcats got there and got the win. But this is a great performance. Oliver was huge. Again, Machado's the quarterback, and Nate Jaiwa, you mentioned it before in that little chat you had to him in the Blitz. He you know what, it's a long time ago, but he finally looks to be playing his best basketball we've seen. What do you got for us?
Well, yeah, big shout out to the Cairns Taipans for, obviously their season was on the line. As you say, that rabid crowd. Big shout out to Cam Oliver, as he has been absolutely enormous. He's basically had a 20-20 in each of the games. I kind of had a little go at him on the show last week, so he doesn't block out. So defensive rebounding is going to be an issue. Oh my God, it looks like he thinks every shot is a pass to him right now, and he goes up and gets it. And Mike Kelly said in the presser after game two, he said, it makes me kind of think about his rebounding efforts over the course of the season, because it would have been nice to get 20 boards each and every game. But he has stepped up in an enormous way. And they came through with the goods and got the win. I think Bryce Cotton looked exhausted in that game. He's doing so much work, and just 2 days apart, he's going to have fresher legs in game three back home.
Man, you're not the only motivator on the desk. See, Liam gives a little quip, and next thing Cam Oliver goes on, an historic run. It was extremely fun to watch Cairns. And that was the concern for both game twos. When both teams, Melbourne and Cairns, thought that they might have left one on their opposition floor, it can sometimes be a little bit hard to get to that intensity. But to watch Cairns do what they did on Sunday, after the year they've had, and give them an opportunity, and there is no doubt Cairns believe they'll go to Perth and make a grand final on Thursday night, as well they should.
I mean, everything you just said, I agree. They're
About
really
time.
tough at home. I know, right? They're tough at home. They're extremely tough at home. And the Orange Army, the Orange Faithful, they love their team. They back the team. Their backs are against the wall. They've beaten Perth before, so they have no reason to believe that they couldn't do it again at home. And great effort by the whole team. DJ Newbill wasted a lot of energy defensively. They did a really good job throwing damn near 3 people at Bryce Cotton. We're going to let others beat us. We're not going to let you beat us. And it paid off.
Let's get to the LD mobile monitor. What do you got for us adjustment-wise as we head towards game 3 in Perth?
Well, the onus is on the Perth Wildcats to make adjustments, right? They're the team that just lost in game 2. And yeah, that is their mentality, the Taipans. We're going to make others beat you. Well, they've identified 2 guys on the floor that they are going to let beat them, and that is Damian Martin and Mitch Norton. They're not guarding those guys at all. And that's, I think, a big adjustment for the Wildcats from game 2 into game 3, what they do with those guys. First off, let's look defensively, because they've got an issue here with Cam Oliver at the start of the game, and Miles Plumlee can't guard him.
No.
Get killed on the pick and pop. Then when he makes the adjustment on the next catch here, he's trying to play in the middle, hard closeout, he just rips it through. He's having a very hard time guarding Cam Oliver. So they need to make a bit of an adjustment there. Pause it here. Let's talk offensively. So this is what Bryce Cotton is seeing possession after possession, where Jared Kenny and whoever, usually it's Scott Machado, but whoever's guarding Damian Martin or Mitch Norton, they are stepping right off and clogging the lane. So what Bryce Cotton likes to do in this situation, either use the screen and drag Nate Jawai out, or reject the screen and try and attack the paint. Well, Kenny's saying, nah, you don't get that. Now this, what happens here, roll the tape, this is not the solution. Norton and Martin are 2 of 10 combined from the three-point line. That's not what they can do. Now let's pause, not quite yet, keep this rolling and pause it here. Pause, because this is where it becomes another issue where Machado, look, here's Machado guarding Damian Martin, has no interest in guarding Martin at all. And all he's going to do is he picks the moment, he sees Wagstaff's head turn, and he says, I'm going to go and attack the ball. This is where Martin and Norton on the floor, it's making life difficult for everyone because then their man gets involved. So you see roll of vision here, Scott Machado gets involved and forces the turnover. It's happening like very often. This is one adjustment that they have made at times and they need to make. Pause it here. Instead of standing on the arc, Damian Martin and Mitch Norton need to get to the rim, get to that dunker spot I spoke about with Xavier Cooks. And as a result, see, Machado doesn't want to stay attached to Martin, but he also doesn't want to leave him down there because that's a layup. So as a result, other guys get some room to operate. Roll the vision. You see here, this is where Norton can catch it. Can't finish? I'll be a distributor. I'm going to stay here, catch it, finish it. He can actually become a threat from down there near the basket. So that's one thing they need to do. Here you see it again. Pause it there. Machado is guarding. That's Damian Martin's man. Has no interest in guarding him. Martin recognized. Look, double team on Tarico White. Recognises it, roll the vision, gets straight to the rim and becomes a scoring threat. So that's what we need to see more of. And pause this one here. This time it's Norton in that role, and just by standing near the rim, he forces Mirko Jeric to stay attached to him. And all that means is that his teammates can play 4-on-4 instead of 4-on-5, which they're seeing when they're not in those spots. And roll the vision, that allows Bryce Cotton to operate in this type of situation and make those types of plays. So you either need to have Norton and Martin off the floor, Cotton at the 1, and then you've got good spacing, or you need to put them at that dunker spot and make them a threat.
And it leads us to RAC Arena on Thursday night. And I did tweet this last night. I don't think anyone disagrees with this. This is going to be a crazy night, and it could well be. And I know we become sometimes prisoner of the moment in these situations, but this could be the biggest, most crazy night in NBL history. We've got 2 Game 3s in 2 wonderful places to watch basketball. We know what the Red Army are like, and Sydney Crowns have been nuts all year. We've got the ultimate summer rivalry, the Melbourne v Sydney. You've got the Wildcats saying, hey, we're the Kings, we want to prove it. And you've got the upstart Cairns Taipans, who 12 months ago were sitting at the couch watching, thinking, we could be a long way from NBL finals, now firmly believing they're going to wander into Perth and have a chance to be in a grand final. It is going to be huge. We have a look at the schedule because it is prediction time. You leave the broom in the cupboard, janitor, because it's done. It's done. All right. We'll start with you, Liam Santa Maria.
Okay.
Who are we going to see in the grand final?
I think we're going to see Perth and Sydney. As crazy as that sounds, for a team that just lost by 45 and has lost 7 of the 8 quarters in their semi-final series, I just think it's so hard to pick road teams in NBL finals. I'm just going to lean toward the Kings.
Before I let you go,
and the Wildcats.
I agree. I think the 2 best teams over the course of the year. I actually think Cairns played better on Friday night than they did Sunday, as great as they were on Sunday. And they've got to be able to replicate that on the opposition floor in front of a packed RAC arena. I think they're going to be 2 wonderful games, but I am going to give the benefit of the doubt to the 2 best teams over the course of NBL 20. You got 30 seconds to let loose, big fella. What do you got?
I have Melbourne United winning. I have Melbourne United going to the grand final, and I have Perth going to the grand final. I think it'll be a rematch of last year.
Melbourne United are looking at us, Cam, and saying, what do we have to do to get some
they were brilliant. And I
guys?
think that both Cairns and Melbourne think they've worked out the opposition team, and they may well have done that.
Yeah.
So they should, in particular with what the hell happened last night. But, you know, home court advantage is going to be a big one. It's going to be huge. You coming to Sydney Thursday?
I'm calling the Perth
I'm rolling solo.
You are.
I'll see you there. Game 3, Thursday night, 2 of them. Enjoy it. #SeeIncredible.